Hey everybody, it's Josh. I don't know how long this video is going to be because I've been out here for about 2 seconds and I already have about 50 mosquito bites, so they're loving me today. But I wanted to respond to a comment I got, and I seem to get quite a few comments like this about how they keep searching for God and they just feel empty. They feel like spiritual emptiness. Like they're trying so hard and it's not working. I think the thing you have to remember is, well, first of all, let me start by saying, I don't tell you about my sign from God, my vision from God, the day I was born again. I don't tell you that as sort of like a brag. Look what happened to me, it's so great. Look how great I am. I tell you this because I was without hope completely. And I was just like many of you, and I thought, it's just not going to happen. God has left me. It is hopeless. But so many things had happened to me, and I finally was just to the point like, I'm gonna just surrender because I have no other choice. But there wasn't a desperation in it like there was. There was a desperation in my pleads to God before. There was a desperation because I needed help so badly. And I was like, well, if any time he's going to save me, it's going to be now, because this is the lowest. And I was wrong. It kept getting lower. So I was like, well, surely after the hundreds of times I've needed him before, if he's still not going to show up, I'm going to have to think of something different. But I was lucky because I had felt God's presence before when I was young, when I was a teenager. And I understand many people don't get that. What you have to also understand is everyone is so radically different that what works for me is not going to work for everyone. It's not going to work for maybe most people. So we have to boil it down to, what do you do if you're in that situation? Because you are desperate. You are overcome with anxiety or fear, guilt or shame. Maybe you're financially just so broke that it just seems like you're going to lose everything, maybe you're not even there, but you just keep on running through your head of all the bad things that are going to happen, where it's just going to keep getting worse and worse. Well, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy right there, because when you think bad things are going to happen to you and that's all you can think about because that's all that's been happening to you, then it's just a circular thing. It keeps happening to you. Because God did give you a power, like they say in, some New Age spiritualities and things like that. There is a power where you can manifest your own reality. It's not necessarily a spiritual thing. It's more of you have such amazing power in your focus. So the people who keep failing and saying, no, I'm going to get it right next time. This is just a bump in the road. It's going to happen for me. I don't care about the failing. I'm learning a lesson from it. Those are the people who achieve their goals. They keep at it. Obviously, not everyone is going to luck out, I guess. There's going to be just bad breaks for people. But that's because we have free will, but there is a predestination. So destiny is a thing. God already knows how this all plays out. He knows, but he knows it has to be a certain way for his plan to play out. Yes, he knows what choice you're going to make, but he's not micromanaging. He's not doing anything like that. He has the perfect plan that's going to work out like that. And we still have the free will to choose. He just knows what we're going to choose. It's very complicated when you think, well, how are we not just slaves when he already knows what we're going to do? Well, you have to understand that God is outside of time and space. So are our souls. So, things are different. This is an experience, our human experience, that needs to happen. We have to be here for whatever reason, I don't know. I still believe we're training to be some sort of, maybe like a divine entity ourselves. We're learning how to make the perfect utopia, the perfect everlasting paradise. Now, I could be completely wrong about that, and I'm pretty positive that many Christians will disagree with me on that. But what happens in the spiritual and the divine realms is going to always be a complete mystery to us, because it is so far out of our understanding. I mean, you can't understand a place outside of time and outside of the physical reality. You think you can, but you still put it in terms of this physical reality. All these gnats flying around me and everything. No, not gnats, mosquitoes. Oh, there's a swarm of them. So I'm going to walk over here now. Hopefully get rid of some of them. But I want to tell you that basically you're trying to force everything. Because of your desperation, you're trying to force a connection with God. This is not what God wants. This is not what... You cannot force a woman or a man to love you. You cannot force anything natural. It happens because it is meant to happen, because it naturally happens. When you get desperate, when you try to force, you think it's just a matter of time, but it really is just, it's so complicated, but you run yourself ragged. You're not who you truly are supposed to be yet. Until you're truly who you are supposed to be, and that you understand with all of your heart that you can't do this on your own. You need divine help. You need a close relationship with God, and you need that unconditional love, because everyone will let you down. Everyone will abandon you. Everyone will let you down in some way, shape, or form. It's going to happen. You can think of it as a sad thing. You can think of it as just reality, because that's what it is. The only one who will not abandon you is God. He will be there for you no matter what happens to you. And he will be there waiting no matter how bad you've sinned, no matter how awful your life has gotten. He wants to take that pain away from you. Now, I've watched a lot of things on how some Christians say that you should not search for signs from God because signs from God are really not signs from God. They're something else. And then there's conflicting verses in the Bible about it. Some that say that signs from God are not divine, they're something else, and others that say there absolutely is signs from God. I'm here to tell you that you searching for signs, searching for them specifically to see them, it's most likely going to be something else. It's going to be some sort of darkness, something leading you astray. Unfortunately, that's the way that I feel. Now, these are just my opinions. There's always my opinions. I come from a Christian perspective, I'm not a church-going Christian as much. I do go to church at times, but I believe in the personal relationship with Christ and God, and that is my perspective. So your perspective might be completely different, and I respect that. But I'm here to tell you, since it's my channel, all I can tell you is what saved me and what I have either gathered from the whole experience or what God has told me directly. And there's very little that God has told me directly, except for a few missions that he sent me on to. The first was to go and study all the spiritualities and philosophies and religions I could. And the next was that I am going to be guiding people towards him. I'm going to be like a spiritual guide, or we'll just call it a spiritual guide. I'm not a prophet. I'm not anything special. I am special to God, but so are you. We all are. We all are a keystone in this puzzle, or in this architecture, this grand design of what God is building. It's a whole temple of keystones. Watch my daughter play over here. She's getting eat up by mosquitoes too, I guarantee you, but she won't know it till later. But that place of desperation is going to just drive you crazy. And I'm not at all saying don't look for signs from God. You absolutely have to keep your eyes open wherever you go. I tell people to go into the woods alone, or go into some place where you're comfortable being alone, and talk to him, and then you keep your eyes peeled for any kind of sign that you may see. But a sign from God, especially the first sign, will be profound. Now, he might send you some smaller ones to guide you, but you have to be wary of those, because they could absolutely be from something else. They could be leading you astray. The main thing you have to know is you have to, as I've said before, every step is a trust fall. You have to learn to put your full faith that every step, every footfall will lead exactly where God needs you to be, because it will. And you could say, this is the worst situation I could have gotten in. There's no way God could have put me here. That's absolutely wrong. You need to be in those places, even the places where you're led by the darkness to. Let's say the darkness leads you to, you're living in a crack house and, you're addicted to all kinds of different drugs. It is still a place you needed to be. Maybe you needed to be there so you could make a grand recovery and you could help a bunch of people. Unfortunately, a lot of people, their purpose is to show others something. So, there's more than just that to their purpose. But let's say you're a heroin addict and you overdose and die from fentanyl or whatever. And you say, well, what's the purpose in that? Why would God allow that? It's just an awful, wasted life. That purpose is to somewhere show somebody, maybe their parents, maybe their brother or sister, maybe their best friend. Maybe it puts those people on a path to recovery and then helping others with addiction. I listen to one channel who is a Christian apologist, and he had a son who died of a very rare condition, after I think 3 years. They said he wasn't going to live even 3 days, but he had, I think he might have even lived longer than that, actually. But people were saying, well, what's the point of that? Why would God allow that? Well, they were able to do all kinds of studies on his condition and learn so much more about it and start to realize what works and what doesn't when treating that condition. Oh, wow. You guys should see the swarm of mosquitoes. It's ridiculous. Not going to be able to stay out here long. But treating that condition would be something that saves maybe millions down the road. Maybe they come up with some breakthrough thing that does save, maybe cures cancer. Maybe they are a vital part of curing cancer. And you say, well, that kid's life had no purpose and it was just suffering and they died. We are looking at it from a human perspective. And God absolutely does want us to. He feels bad for us when we suffer. He doesn't want us to suffer. He wants us to turn to Him so He can carry our burden. Christ wants to carry that cross for us. But we have to do it ourselves for a while until we figure out how to turn to God completely. I have mentioned it's been, it was 13 plus years of suffering before I was saved. And then it's been about a little over a year and a half now since. I haven't still suffered 1 minute. Not 1 minute since then. And the reason for that is God carries that burden for me. He really does. I want you all to understand it's not going to happen the same way it happened to me. But it will happen if you seek Him, if you put that full faith into Him. But that full faith, you still have your ego in there. You're still saying, well, I'm praying every day and I'm doing this and that. Go read Job from the Bible. He tried everything to please God. He was trying to be His loyal servant and doing everything the right way. But he did not seek a relationship with God. That's why I mentioned it is not the acts, it is not the works that we do that get us to that divine paradise, that get us to heaven, whatever you want to call it. It is not that. It is the relationship with God. Now, the works and the acts and the purpose comes, the purpose is always there, but the divine purpose comes after you have that relationship. That is when the true miracles in your life start to happen. All right, I need to get off of here because this is getting ridiculous. Wow, I need to do something about these mosquitoes out here. All right, I hope I got all the points across. There was a lot more I wanted to say about that, but I guess I'm going to have to start doing some more videos from within the car or something if this heat and these mosquitoes and horse flies and all the fun stuff keep bugging me. I love you all. I know your pain, and I am here for you. But as I said, don't rely. You can rely on me for hope, and I'll give you as much hope and wisdom as I possibly can, because that's what God told me to do. But I am just a man. You can get so much more when you turn to God. Full faith. Don't even worry about what comes next. Just look forward to it. You're like, where, all this? So this is where God took me now. Learn to live entirely in the present. Not entirely, mostly in the present. Where you are, during the good times, you prepare for the bad. You know, you stock up on food for an emergency storm or a war or whatever. During the bad times, you let God carry that burden completely. And you say, I am letting you guide my hand during these turbulent times. And He will. And it will be a life changer. God bless. Have a great week.